Hello, this is the video for Sunday, July 26th. As we continue our Bible overview reading plan, today we're reading 1 Kings chapter 17. It'd be really great if you read that chapter on your own. I've got a link to the passage in the description of this video if you want to read online. So just to give a recap of where we are in the story of the Bible. The last narrative, the last story we were reading was about King Solomon. And now after Solomon's reign as king over God's people split into two kingdoms. There's the kingdom of Israel in the north and the kingdom of Judah in the south. And we're going to spend the next little while reading stories and some words from the prophets that deal with the northern kingdom of Israel. So today we've jumped forward in history a little while, and there's a king named Ahab ruling the Israelites, the kingdom of Israel in the north. And God begins to speak through a prophet named Elijah. And I love the stories of Elijah. These are some of my favorite stories in the Bible. I'm super excited to talk about these. Elijah's name means, "My God is the Lord." And Elijah comes to speak to the people during a time when God's people have turned away from worshiping God. And they're worshiping this false god named Baal. And so God sends Elijah, the Lord sends Elijah to call his people back to him. And the way God begins to do that is by sending a drought on his people. And that may seem like a weird way for God to call the people back to him. Shouldn't he bless them to get them to worship him? But Baal, this false god the people are worshiping, is supposed to be the god of the storm, the god who's the god of fertility, the god who enables crops to grow by sending rain. And so what God is doing is he's proving that he is in control and not Baal, that God can send the rain that's needed. And so while the people are trying in vain to worship this false god, God is taking care of Elijah. And God takes care of Elijah in perfectly ordinary ways. Elijah needs water, and God sends him to a brook to get some water. Elijah needs some food, and so God sends him to another person to give him food. But God also provides for Elijah in extraordinary, in supernatural ways. Elijah needs food, so God gets ravens to come and bring Elijah food. This widow who Elijah is staying with has nothing to make food. And God continues to miraculously provide for her, that there's food every day. There's flour just keeps on coming. The oil just keeps on coming. God works a miracle. And God proves that he is faithful, that he keeps his word. He says there's going to be no rain. There's no rain. He says he'll take care of Elijah. He takes care of Elijah. This widow's son dies, and she begins to question if God is just bringing hardship on her. And God performs a miracle, brings her son back to life. And this woman believes that God is the Lord is truly God, and that he can do all things. So in the stories of Elijah, we see God's power at work, that God is able to provide for us, to take care of us. Sometimes he does it in ordinary ways. You know, when we earn money and then we go to the store and we buy food, that's still God providing for us. God gives us the job. God gives us the ability. God gives us the strength we need to work. But sometimes, too, things are hard, and maybe God sends somebody else to bring us food. Maybe food shows up on our doorstep, and we have no idea where it comes from. And God is at work there, too. God is faithful to his people, and God can always take care of us because he's trustworthy. So that's my thought for today's passage. If you've got questions or comments or thoughts that you'd like to share, leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for watching.